Hey guys, did you know that it was spices from India that led to the creation of the modern day stock exchange? What does nutmeg got to do with New York? Or what if I told you that it was a spice trade that led to the creation of the richest company ever built on the planet? Keep watching to know more. Pepper, cardamom, clove, cinnamon, and a lot of other spices were mainly grown in India and parts of Asia for millennia. And right from ancient Greeks to Romans, spices from India were in great demand in Europe. How did these spices get to Europe? Well, it was the Arabs who were the early traders who picked up these spices from the coast of India and by sea took it to the Middle East and by the land route via Istanbul transported it to Europe. But in the 1400s, there is a change of guard in Turkey. The new rulers, the Ottoman Empire, did a blockade of trade from Asia to Europe, leading to a shortage of spices in Europe, making the Europeans extremely desperate. This is when a lot of European royal families started to fund voyages to find the promised spice land, India. You all know how the King and Queen of Spain sponsored the voyage of Christopher Columbus. And you also know very well that how Columbus, in his pursuit for spices, took the wrong turn and ended up finding America. But who eventually found the sea route to India were the Portuguese with Vasco da Gama, who, through the tip of Africa, came to India in 1498. And the Portuguese wasted no time in monopolizing the spice trade. But in the late 1500s, Spain invaded Portugal and they cut off the supply of spices to Netherlands. Now, the Dutch had to find their own way to get to these spices. And that's when they decided to make their own voyages to India. But there was a small problem. These voyages were extremely expensive. To build these massive ships, having a large crew, their supplies, and even if you got all of them right, you lost a lot of these ships in journey. So what did the Dutch do? In 1602, a group of Dutch merchants came together to form a company called Virinde Oostende Company. I'm clearly pronouncing it wrong, but in short, VOC, or what we call the Dutch East India Company. And they came up with a novel idea to raise money. For the first time in history, they introduced this concept of a stock, which is nothing but a piece of paper. In exchange for money, it promised a part ownership in the company and a part of future profits. They floated this idea to the people of Netherlands and they raised 6 million guilders back in the day, about $360 million today. Yes, that made VOC the first company ever to issue stocks. And so that people could trade these stocks, they set up the world's first ever stock exchange in Amsterdam, the Amsterdam Stock Exchange. This innovation changed our world forever. Today, stocks and stock exchange are the cornerstone of modern day capitalism. And all this thanks to spices. If you're wondering what did VOC do with all this money? Well, they funded a series of voyages to India and Asia for the spice trade, and they held a strict monopoly on this trade for about 200 years and they raked in huge profits. When I say huge, take a guess. How big do you think was this company? Do you think it was as big as Facebook, Google, Apple? Well, way bigger. At its peak, it is worth more than 7.9 trillion. That is more than the top 20 companies of today. Well, that's how profitable the spice trade was. Talking about spices and how valuable they were, in the 1600s, nutmeg was in great demand in Europe because it was believed to be a cure for the bubonic plague. In the 1600s, the Dutch had bought a swampy island in America and they named it New Amsterdam. But they were keenly eyeing a tiny island in Indonesia called Run. Why were the Dutch so keen on Run? Because Run was one of the 10 islands in Indonesia which is the sole producer of nutmeg in the world. The British and the Dutch came to an agreement. they decided to exchange these islands. And guess what? The Dutch ended up transferring New Amsterdam to England in exchange for rum, which gave them a complete monopoly on the nutmeg trade. And the British, wanting to make New Amsterdam their own, decided to call it New York. Yes, the financial capital of the world. I'm guessing this is the real estate deal of the millennium. So the next time you're in a crowded spice market with a riot of colors and the strong aroma of spices, spare a moment to think about how these spices changed our world. We'll be back with more.